So, welcome everybody to yet another SNC stream, the third day in a row that we are streaming this team championship, the biggest of the year. And today we have a very unique opportunity to take a look at the second semifinal of Division 2 that will take place between FKX Gold and DGF, two teams which finished 6th and 7th respectively in the qualifying events. So the level of performance here very high, the player quality very high, and very interested to see how these two teams which finished next to each other in the standings are going to measure up against each other on a map pack, which I think has produced some very memorable action thus far. Just waiting for the players to make their way into the server. Hello everybody, hello Skywalker, hello Vamostikar, hello Martin, nice to see everybody. We're going to quickly introduce the teams, we're going to introduce the maps in a couple of minutes. When the players arrive to the server, I'm just going to take this last opportunity to grab a glass of water. I will need it because the last two matches, the last 2 days have been incredibly exciting. I think this one is going to be another pleasant surprise. But we'll get into that in just a couple of minutes. And apologies for the delay. And now that everything's ready again, I will just be sorting out some admin details with the players. And while we're waiting for them to make their way to the server, while we are waiting just a couple of minutes before this match begins, time to introduce the teams. Here we have a match between the 6th and 7th place finishers in the qualifying events. DGF with their full roster, Budala aka KWS, Kush, Mirako, and Kosip joining them as their 4th this year versus the 5-man FKX Gold roster of Nino, Devil, FastXZ, Tsunami, and Corbo. Those are some really good names, some names capable of some amazing performance and pace. And I'm really looking forward to see what these players have prepared on this map pack, because I think both of these teams are going to be able to play to their strengths here. I think the form they've shown in the qualifying events has been exceptional. And I think that each team has a couple of maps that might suit them a little bit better, where the players are going to be able to unlock their best performance. As a reminder to everybody, this is a Division 2 match, and we've already seen, or it happened off stream unfortunately, one of the matches in Division 2, which was Peony Orange versus Space NASCAR Cowboys, I believe. And Peony Orange took an overwhelming victory. They await the winner of this match in the Division 2 final. And the loser of this match will then face Space NASCAR Cowboys for the third place finish in Division 2. Obviously, DGF do have a little bit of an advantage tonight, as they finished, I believe, some 200 points ahead of FKX Gold in the qualifying portion. And you know, in rounds mode in particular, DGF were very competitive. They were even up there with Peony Orange and FKX Platinum, but unfortunately they fell slightly further behind in the time, attack, and endurance portion, which ultimately relegated them to a 6th place finish. And there we go. The match will be starting. Apologies for the small delay. I'm also handling the match admin for this one. So, first map of the evening, Back to the Source by Truro. This is a very technical flat map with some very interesting transitions, where I think even in Division 1 we saw some pretty serious mistakes by players, but we also saw the level of pace that is possible. Anything that is a 110 is going to be very quick, and I'm pretty sure some of these players will be able to put that sort of pace up. Kush is an absolute monster. KWS, from his performances on Peony Orange, entirely doable for him on a flat map. And obviously Miraco, the wild card, we've seen him in a lot of NASCAR competitions over the years, and I think he's always managed to acquit himself very, very well. But on the other hand, FKX Gold, just because they finished 7th and just because they were actually quite a few points behind, does not mean they should be underestimated. I think Devil in particular put up some amazing performances from them in the qualifying portion of the event, and they have some real legends on their side. Nino starring for them, he's always capable of a good performance. Tsunami at his best, definitely not to be underestimated, and the 2 extra pieces of Fast XZ and Corbo on their team are also going to be, you know, quite capable of delivering some surprises. DGF might have a little bit of a status of favorite coming into this one, but they should not rest on their laurels, because the team they are facing is more than capable of giving them a good fight. We see now Kush taking the warm-up, and these S corners proved very tricky yesterday for the players to handle, as they need to carry the maximum of speed through to the end of the lap. Last corner crash is entirely possible on this map. And we see the mapper in the chat himself. He's made quite a good map here, really testing the players to their maximum, and Kush proves here. The outside wall, the pole, every single element of this track can trip you up, and if you lose your concentration for a split second, you will be in the wall, your team will lose the round. And we've seen some very decisive results on this map. I think teams have been winning 7-0, 7-2. I think on many occasions teams have taken very decisive wins on this map, because when these flat players, even if they are very good at flat maps, when you lose that flow, when you feel like you aren't nailing these timings, when you lose a bit of speed, it just messes with you subconsciously. You start bleeding a 10th here and there, you're just not turning in quickly enough, and very quickly things can spiral out of control for you, and you can end up losing very decisively on this map. Now, 30 deadies are within 7/10 of a second. No corner on this map is a mystery to the players, but to deliver at a high level in rounds is a very tough ask. Even in Division 2, where you have some amazing players, I think it will be difficult to consistently see high level times. Just because it is very, very easy to make a mistake that trips you up. Very easy to risk with the inside-outside Rammsteins. Very easy to try to risk a little bit extra to get a couple of tenths of a second of pace and then end up crashing into the wall. The transitions as well, as you can see, perfectly capable of tripping players up, as Budala aka KWS demonstrates for us. And we also see a crash in the final corner in the second warm-up, and we saw a lot of those yesterday in the Division 1 match between Peony Blue and FKX Platinum, so definitely not a map where you can call rounds very quickly. Mistakes can happen all the way at the end, and you can drive 1.9 perfect laps, but it won't matter if you don't do them all perfectly. Actually, yeah, we're going to rejoin the match very quickly, just to fix the scoreboard. And yes, that fixes the scoreboard, so now we're going to have an easier time spectating the players, and the second warm-up is coming to an end, which means we will be starting the Division 2 match between FKX Gold and DGF right here, right now. And I think, you know, a couple of members of Peony Orange in the chat, a couple of members of Space NASCAR Cowboys in the chat, they're going to be looking at this match with great interest, trying to see which players are on fire, who they're going to have to keep eyes on the following map pack. As a reminder, of course, the Division 2 Grand Final will be Peony Orange versus the winner of this match, and the small final will be Space NASCAR Cowboys versus the loser of this match. But enough about those implications. We have a match on our hands, and we are ready with map number 1. Let's take a look at the rosters for both teams. Budala, Mirako, and Kush taking the stage for Back to the Source by Truel versus FastXZ, Nino, and Devil. Some very good rosters indeed, and the level immediately from the start very, very high. Only Fast falling behind it by about 0.2 of a second, but no mistakes so far. Mirako now losing a little bit of speed, does have to release, and look at this. These releases actually end up costing DGF 2 places, and now FastXZ is on a great recovery drive. Kush is holding down the front of the field, but this round can still be anyone's to take, hanging in the balance. Nino will now have to significantly release to avoid touching the wall, and that's going to cost his team valuable points. Now FastXZ has to mount a late round counter attack against Budala and Mirako to keep his team in the round, because Kush is still holding on a first place in front, and Fast does manage to overtake one of them. Can he possibly overtake the other? Budala's losing a little bit of speed. If he has to release one more time, it might still happen. Not to be. DGF will take the first round, and Kush in a 1:10.4. That's a Division 1 level time right here, right at the beginning. That is in fact let me just very quickly check, that is a Dedi 20 level time in live rounds, so Kush immediately on fire, and honestly, Kush definitely the player we have to keep an eye out for, because he is an absolute superstar. He's been a superstar for Bros lineups in the past. Now, with Team DGF, he's definitely going to be their main carry. And for FKX Gold, obviously, the question of the evening is, do they have somebody who can match Kush's pace when he is driving at 100%? If he is in the zone and fully unlocked, do FKX Gold have a player who can really take him on, or will they have to win with teamwork? Yet to be seen. There is no such thing as a wrong way to win in NASCAR, so yet to be seen. And if you take a look at this round, it's actually Kush who is only in third place, because Devil and Nino are putting up some very impressive pace on their own. Now he's mounting a counterattack while Budala and Mirako hang on. I want to emphasize this is very good consistency being displayed from everybody in this round so far. Fast, the slowest player right now, but he's only 0.7 of a second behind. Oh, Caster Curse of the evening. The first one is, does seem like he'll make a mistake. Devil does secure first place in the end, but unfortunately, that mistake and Mirako sniping Nino by 0.04 of a second means it is a DGF round by only by 1 point. Mirako over Nino. That was a clutch snipe in the end, and that snipe will be what secures DGF their second round on the trot. But FKX Gold were very competitive in this round. Only at the end it unraveled for them, but Devil and Nino are putting up a very respectable performance. That has to be said. Devil in a 110.6. That is also a Division 1 level time and also a Daddy level time in live rounds. So some very, very impressive stuff very early on. The players clearly warmed up and ready to play. And as we begin this round, FKX Gold are actually the one that are in the advantage. But now the S turns take their first victim in Nino. And look at how much speed Mirako was carrying until this release. If you can take these S corners perfectly, a lot of speed to be gained heading into the second lap. This is the technical element that really separates the good players from the best players. And this round, we do have a bit of a bigger spread. Unfortunately, Fast making a significant mistake and Nino in 5th place. It is looking like a round for DGF, but Devil is fighting admirably at the top with Kush. Kush now trying to do the up and under. He navigates it so well, using the full space of the road, navigating these S's expertly, but he will touch the inside Ramstein, giving Devil the opportunity to secure first position, and he will in the end, a 110.7. Nino actually finishing in 4th place, sniping Mirako at the end, but it won't be enough. And once again, by 1 point, DGF secured a round. 3rd in a row, but this has been very close. 10 to 11, the point tally in 2 consecutive rounds. FKX Gold need to not let these losses get to them. They have the pace, they have the consistency, but they have to put it together if they want to be taking points away from DGF. Because DGF's players are locked in and doing quite well for themselves. Cushion 13 points, Budala with 13 points. Devil, unfortunately, that is a preemptive caster curse. I was just about to say has 17 points. But now makes a very significant mistake which will eliminate him from the round. And now it is up to Fast, XZ, and Nino to do a defensive drive in order to try to keep the round together. But look at DGF attacking as a unit. Like a pack, barely anything to separate their 3 players as they head into lap number 2. This is immaculate pace from all 3 of them. Only 0.2 of a second behind Daddy 1, and all 3 of them are right here, right now. Putting down an amazing round. I'm not sure I've seen Peony Blue be this consistent yesterday. Look at this. Very impressive team effort. They're looking to ace them to take their 4th consecutive round. In the end, bleeding a little bit of pace compared to Daddy 1, but this will still be a very impressive round from them. Navigating the corners expertly. Budala releases a little bit in the end, but it doesn't matter. 110.5, 110.7, 110.7. Ace, DGF, and 4-0 DGF. And FKX Gold, I believe, finally realizing that they've got their work cut out for them, and the difference between the 6th and the 7th place team in qualifying currently really, really big. Quite a challenge indeed. And if I'm FKX Gold right now, I'm looking to see a little bit more from Nino and Fast XZ, as they haven't been able to put up a 110 on the board quite yet, and they are currently the last 2 in points. Nino was in the lead in one of these rounds, so he clearly has the pace to compete, but he does need to be putting up more points on the board for his team. Nino, obviously a legend of NASCAR in his own right, appearing for multiple teams over the years, a stint in Energy and others, but enough about history, more about the present, because FKX Gold have no better time than the present to score a point, as Kush makes the first significant mistake of the evening. And now this gives them an opportunity to score. FKX Gold have to convert this point. They have to realize they find themselves in a super favorable position, with Mirako in 5th place and Budala not able to snipe Devil for 1st place. FKX are in prime position to score, and they don't need to risk a whole lot. Even if Budala finishes 1st, it won't matter in the end, so priority is a safe finish. Mirako taking a bit of a wider line. Fast XZ still has a little bit more speed, but will he take the S's with more speed? The answer currently no. And how will the positions shake up in the end? All 5 players navigate the final corner well, and it is the first point for FKX Gold. 110.8 from Devil, 110.9 from Nino. That's what we like to see. Taking advantage of the first significant mistake by Kush to immediately score a point. Nicely done for them. Off we go then into round number 6. Still a huge lead for DGF over FKX Gold, but FKX Gold now showing that they have the opportunity to score if even the slightest mistakes happens, and they will have to hope for more mistakes by DGF, because so far DGF have had the better pace and consistency overall. Just a little bit better, but enough in the end to secure a whole number of points. And I have to shout out that the consistency so far in this match has been quite good from these players. Despite this being a Division 2 match, I think the players are driving in a very mature way. I think they've practiced on this map very well. And I think that's showing right now, because both the pace and the consistency overall has been at a very, very high level. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't seem like FKX Gold are going to be reaping the rewards of that, because Nino has made a bit of a mistake. He's released. He's now about 0.8 of a second behind. Fast inherits 5th place. Mirako does make a bit of a mistake in the S's, and if FastXZ navigates this corner well, he will be able to snipe. Devil actually also takes a position over Budala, but it doesn't matter because Kush secured the 1st place. And it is again a point for DGF. It could have been a little bit different if Nino hadn't made that mistake, but ultimately very hard to win when Kush is putting this sort of consistent pace on the board. Kush has 3 of the 3 fastest times so far in a 110.4, 110.5, 110.6. This is an elite level performance worthy of Division 1. And Peony Orange as well, if any members are in the chat right now, they definitely have to be looking at Kush with a lot of respect, as he will be very strong regardless of the map he's playing. The same, however, not to be said for some of the other players in this match. Nino with a little bit of a mistake and Mirako with a little bit of a mistake, but Mirako's mistake is a little bit bigger. So FKX Gold might still have an opportunity to score depending on how the battle at the front takes place. Budala now falling back into 4th place. Kush holds on to 1st, but this is still a blue round as it stands because Fast and Devil are putting up a good team effort. A nice offensive drive to keep Budala honest, and Nino is still holding Mirako behind. Devil now making a little bit of an inside Ramstein touch, will be giving up a lot of speed. What was that from FastXZ? It feels like he just got yeeted into the wall like a magnet. That is going to unfortunately lose them the round unless a miracle happens in the final corner. Not to be. Kush securing yet another round in a 110.5. Fearsome pace from the star player of DGF. And although FKX Gold are fighting admirably, these mistakes are costing them rounds. And already DGF have made their way to map point on map number 1. And it has to be said that FKX Gold actually putting up a admirable effort. Devil is actually 1st in points with 34 points, even though he has the slower peak pace than Kush. But Kush and Budala together, 32 points, 31 points. Very difficult for them to beat, while Mirako is holding off Nino and FastXZ in terms of points. FKX Gold simply have a slightly lower overall level, and that is all that is necessary for a big lead to be opened on this map. I said this in the analysis of the map, and we've seen it in the matches so far. On this map, teams win with big margins because this map really rewards teams that can perform consistently as a whole. And currently, DGF are actually not performing very consistently as a whole, as they've actually lost Budala, meaning that FKX Gold have the opportunity to deny the map point conversion at the first time of asking. Mirako and Kush not holding the top 2 positions. Devil and Nino now have to convert this round safely. They have to show the maturity. They are navigating the S as well. Kush with an incredible mistake and Mirako with a mistake, and actually, this becomes an FKX Gold ace. They deny the map point at the first time of asking to notch up their 2nd point. Very nicely done. And Devil, 110.58. That is a super impressive time from the star player of FKX Gold. And he is again going to shoot up into 1st place with overall points. Very well done for the FKX Gold player. 40 points. Doing better than anyone else, including Kush. So even though Kush has had the best place, it is actually Devil who has been the player of the map so far, taking the biggest advantage from his opponent's mistakes and putting up a real star performance for FKX Gold. But unfortunately, this is a 3 versus 3 tournament, and you need to have every member of your team playing at an elite level to collect a lot of points. FKX Gold will be hoping to keep the momentum rolling, and they will hope to deny the map point conversions for DGF. They will be hoping to hold them off and maybe to, you know, prevent DGF from running away with it, maybe trying to preserve a little bit of a mental edge. Nino, that was so risky with the outside Ramstein, but he's still alive, and as long as he's still alive, there's everything to fight for. Look at the pace Devil's putting up. Kush is actually now in last place in this round, but Nino made a little bit of a small mistake, small slide, giving up the position, but this is still possibly a blue round, but FastXZ and Devil have to do something about it. FastXZ missing the turn-in point for the corner, meaning Kush will inherit the advantage, but FastXZ, nice corner, but unfortunately will not have as much exit speed as the other players. Needs to navigate the S's perfectly as Budala is now threatening Devil, and although Nino tries to make a last-minute comeback, it's not to be, and DGF will claim map number 1. 7-2-2. Unfortunate. You could feel that something was happening, but did you see the time the Devil put up in this last round? That's a 1:10.44. That is a crazy time, and he is actually first in points. So 46 points Devil, 38 points Budala, 37 points Kush, 24 points Miraqua, 23 points Nino, 21 points FastXZ. It is the Budala factor that is really doing a lot for DGF right now, having this proven, super consistent NASCAR player showing up for them. That is really what's giving them the big advantage, because even though Devil has shown the brightest of all 6 players on the server, honestly, it's been Budala whose consistency has given DGF those extra points in the rounds that has really put them above FKX Gold. And this map continues to provide very decisive results. This map hasn't really been close for most teams. Very technical, very difficult, and that is not about to change as we are headed to Voyager by Dopamine, the second map of the evening. A completely different map from the one we saw just before, but also strikingly similar in that you have to pick your balance between risk and reward. I think this is the thing this map really asks the players. You have these weird elements where you have the opportunity to maybe take a very risky line to carry out a lot of speed throughout most of the lap, but if you're doing that, you are risking flying away, losing several seconds, so you are constantly making these decisions. Am I going to try to save a tenth of a second and possibly risk losing 2 to 3 seconds if I make a mistake, if I misjudge the corner? Am I gonna risk this outside Ramstein and do what just happened to Nino right there, possibly lose my team the round? Lots of things to possibly go wrong on this map for both teams. And one thing that we really saw on this map, which I really need to shout out, is that on this map, teams have been able to make some really big comebacks happen. In Division 4, we actually saw that NRT Cyan won 7 consecutive rounds on this map against Slow Noobs Cruising after losing 8 consecutive rounds over the first map. So this is a map where teams have been able to sort of bounce back because it is so different, because it's such a change of pace. Teams have really been able to bounce back, to make some comebacks, to keep themselves competitive heading into the third map. And hopefully we see that here as well, because DGF have a really big lead right now. 7-2 the overall score after map number 1. And we will also see if the teams choose to exchange players for this map. Looking forward, obviously, to see if any substitutions are made tactically, because this map is so different, because it has a very different style to a technical flat map. Maybe teams will try to put in some players which might be more familiar with us. Maybe they're going to try to take, you know, a surprise advantage over their opponents. We still have one warm-up left to go, and in this warm-up we're going to try to take a look at the most challenging elements of this map where the players are really going to be tested. We've seen some real bugs at the start-finish line when players have not been able to air brake to control their car properly. This 270, not much to say, but this next one, very important. So this is a small platform segment with a 270 and a checkpoint in between. Players can choose a variety of angles of attack. If you go too far wide, you're risking touching that booster. If you go too far inwards, you're not carrying enough speed. If you miss the entry point for that jump, you're going to be flying into the wall and lose your team the round. Lots of things can change here, and after that big segment, not much to say. After the banked corners, the rest of the lap, very much a formality and not a lot of opportunity for these late round comebacks, because there just isn't a lot of room left to gain speed in the end of the lap. So this is really the important segment, the one that we will watch Fast Drive right now. He chooses to play a very narrow line, you see this here, but he also isn't very certain. He had to release, and then these banked corners are also important because you can choose to risk a little bit with this outside Ramstein. You can risk a little bit in the transition. You also have this flat corner, which you have to take all out and where you have to approach the outside. Use the full space of the road. And as FastXZ finishes the warm-up, we will be starting map number 2 as the mapper himself is in chat right now to take a look at how players will approach his creation. And yeah, Dopamine's map has been one of comebacks so far. And we will see if FKX Gold are capable of making a comeback because currently they are trailing 2-7. DGF opening a big advantage on the first map despite Devil's heroics, and we will see if any substitutions have been made for map number 2. Looking at the rosters, there is a substitution happening for Team FKX Gold as Tsunami will take the place of the star of map number 1, Devil. DGF do not make a substitution. It will still be Budala, Mirako, and Kush now versus Tsunami, FastXZ, and Nino. And we'll see how the players do. I should mention, FastXZ, very good on previous platform maps. And Caster Curse of the evening, once again taking hold as he will touch the outside wall immediately. Probably better to start spectating a different player, as the FKX Gold in general don't seem to have gotten off to a very good start. Nino with a small mistake or bug or something else. And I think that was Budala out in front with a big mistake or bug. He just absolutely vanished from the radar. I haven't even spotted how that happened, but he has been completely overtaken, and now actually Mirako and Kush do need to be careful. No room for stupid mistakes, or they might give up what is otherwise a free round. None of the FKX players so far competitive in terms of pace. We see Nino taking a very wide line, trying to carry out as much speed as possible into the second half of the lap, but the advantage that has been opened up by the DGF players is already too big, and you see Kush releasing. You see the advantage that you can get at the end of the lap if you take a little bit of a riskier line, as Nino cuts his advantage by several tenths of a second. It will unfortunately not matter. Mirako reaching the finish line in a 124.4. And it will be a DGF round, so the winning streak for DGF continues despite Budala's mistake. And I think some very good pace shown from Mirako here. A 124.4, just shy by 1.5 tenths of a second from Dedi Ferdi. But as we saw yesterday, asking for Dedi pace from players on this map, very difficult indeed. Lots of mistakes on this particular map, and players will be trying to drive a little bit more safely. Always trying to balance risk versus reward, always such a difficult thing to do on a map like this. All players off to a good start so far. Fast, unfortunately, didn't take that banked corner very well, so he's going to be falling behind again, and Tsunami touching the inside Ramstein. Misjudging the corner, he will effectively be out of the round. And now DGF, Nino is fighting against a pack of DGF players. Look at the team consistency between these 3 players of DGF. Not a tenth of a second separating all of them as they navigate these corners so smoothly in unison. Poetry in motion from the DGF members. Nino is holding them off, but without his teammates to keep him company, he's not going to be able to do anything, and indeed, he is out of the round, and DGF surge forward towards an ace. FastXZ, the only player who can still play spoiler to this. The round long since lost, but perhaps the ace can still be prevented if a late round mistakes happens. I don't think it will. DGF with a beautiful team round. 124.4, 124.6, 124.7. Ace DGF to win the second round on this map and open up a 9-2 overall lead. And very nice from DGF overall. Look at the consistency of this team. All evening they have actually put up a very good level. Their peak pace absolutely fearsome, and the amount of consistency from this Freeman lineup in particular Peony Orange should definitely be looking with some concern. They will need to put up their best performance because DGF are looking quite good indeed, proving that the difference between 6th and 7th place is much bigger than it appears at first glance, and FKX Gold now are significantly on the back foot. They need to start scoring some points right now, right here, or it will be a foregone conclusion that they will be headed for the small final. And the pace looks promising at the beginning, but immediately, as I say that, Tsunami does have to release. He keeps himself safe, but unfortunately he's not competitive in terms of pace. And now we will see if Fast and Nino can do anything about the outcome of this round, as Kush is in the lead and Miraco holding that third place, while Budala can still play spoiler if any mistakes happen ahead of him. DGF in control of this round so far, but anything can happen. This map, as unpredictable as they come, and that unpredictability claims a life. Miraco, way too wide, will not make it into the platform section of the map, and now the opportunity has opened itself for FKX to score the point. They need to keep these positions, however, as they are only winning by a single point right now, so both Nino and FastXZ need to retain their positions. They need to drive well, drive safely, and so far they've done just that. So far, keeping themselves safe. Nino might actually go for a late round snipe. Nino sniping Kush in the final corner to take the round in a 124.1. That's the fastest time we've seen thus far, and it will be the first FKX Gold round of the map, thanks to heroics by Nino and FastXZ, who actually beat Kush and Budala to the finish line. Very well done from these two players. A round to be proud of, but they cannot rest on their laurels. They have to keep winning because they still face a big overall deficit. Overall score now 9-3, and Nino even putting up a personal best in live rounds, 124.1, a very good time indeed, a daddy time. Very, very well done from this absolute legend, giving some welcome veteran leadership to FKX Gold to pair with their talented younger players. Putting up 12 points on this map, doing well so far. Tsunami, however, will have to do a little bit more for his team if they want to score more points. Unfortunately, Caster Curse in effect. You sing his praises and he touches the wall. Best to move on to other players, see how they're going to be able to deal with the pressure of this map. Tsunami, unfortunately, quite far behind, but what has happened to Budala? What has happened to Fast? Beginning of the second lap takes 2 victims, and DGF now surge into the lead. Miraco and Kush holding the first place. Not a super impressive pace altogether, but the consistency, nothing to scoff at, as there is barely anything separating these two players right now. Kush and Miraco are going to race to the finish line now. Kush will take the overall lead of the round, but Miraco here to beat him to the punch, and these two teammates are putting on quite a show. Look at this right now. Kush and Miraco fighting until the final corner. Kush, that's a beautiful line by Kush. He's going to beat him to the punch by only 0.03 of a second. Budala will reach the finish line third, and it is an ace for DGF to take their third point on this map and their 10th point overall. Once again, surging back into the lead, as again, FKX Gold, they are capable of some good things when they're fired up, but the consistency, unfortunately, just a level below what DGF have been able to produce. And while 5 players on this map so far have been able to set a 124 time, admirable of course, the consistency just straight up better for Team DGF, with Kush with 22 points, Miraco with 16, and Budala with 13. There is nobody on FKX Gold that can really compete. Nino is the closest with 13. Tsunami having a bit of a bad map so far. He will be looking to rebound. Let's see if he can actually do it. Doing very well for himself, takes these lines quite cleanly. Will not be catching up to the front of the pack, but he will be keeping Budala behind himself, and this round still competitive for FKX Gold heading into lap number 2. Various lines, various approaches, but ultimately not a whole lot of difference. Except for Nino, who does seem to have touched the outside Ramstein or somehow lost the rest of his speed. Now FastXZ and Tsunami have to mount an attack, or they will be losing yet another round. Kush holding on to the lead very, very firmly, but now Fast is trying to drive a very aggressive line. He's trying to pick up a lot of speed into this bank corner. He does have a lot of speed, but he didn't take that corner very well, and Miraco will be able to defend for now. However, Miraco touching the inside Ramstein suddenly leaves him open for attack by both Fast and Tsunami, but Tsunami will misjudge the turn. Tsunami will misjudge the turn, and any opportunity of an FKX Gold comeback dashed very quickly. Kush putting up a 124.1, doing well for himself, and it is a DGF round. Not a super impressive round in terms of overall pace, but the consistency simply there in a level FKX Gold are not able to match. And it is a 4th round on this map, and we've seen so far, this map used to be the map of comebacks. We saw that on map number... We saw that in the Division 1 match, and the Division 4 match, but not the case so far, as Kush and Mirako have put the foot down, and with 28 and 20 points respectively, they are the class of the field, showing their star potential, showing the DGF, despite being a team primarily known for their full-speed exploits, not to be underestimated when fielding a team in a NASCAR competition. These players have been competing in NASCAR events for years. They are not to be underestimated. They can hang with the best of them, and they're proving it here and now. Round number 6 underway on this second map, and Tsunami and Fast trying to figure out a way to bank a lot of speed for the second half of the lap. Unfortunately, doesn't seem like they've cracked the code. This is the most competitive and even round we've had so far, with all 6 players within half a second. Tsunami the furthest behind and doesn't take the last corner very well. That's going to be a loss of speed. That's going to keep him in last place. He will have to see a mistake ahead of him in order to catch up in a meaningful way. Facing a big deficit, Nino and Kush fighting at the front of the pack. Let's see what happens. Nino with a very aggressive wide line. Kush flirting with disaster there, but he does navigate the corner safely. And now both of them have a lot of speed, but Nino has that slight bit more. Gives up that slight bit more with this slightly late turn-in. And now it is actually Mirako who navigates this corner perfectly to catch up. This round competitive until the very end, but DGF are the ones showcasing the superior consistency, as now Nino will fall away. And DGF with an ace. Kush setting a 124.0, the fastest we've seen so far. The rest of his teammates close at hand, and that is one of several DGF aces this evening. Opening up a 5-1 lead on this map, and FKX Gold might find themselves with no battle left to fight very quickly if this continues, as DGF have been comprehensively outclassing them so far. Now all 3 DGF players in the top 3 in points. And although Nino put up a super impressive round, he's not able to put up super impressive consistency, only half the points of Kush. Despite having a personal best that is 1/10 of a second behind him. Risking a lot to try to give his team the points they need, but unfortunately the consistency simply not there. Nino, however, risking but not getting rewarded. A prophetic line on the cast, as he will be out of the round very quickly. In DGF, again, 3 players in the top 3 positions. Fast, the only one left to play spoiler, as both Nino and Tsunami have made a significant mistake in DGF. Look at the consistency between these 3 players. How many rounds have we seen this evening where Kush, Mirako, and Budala have barely a couple of tenths of a second between them? If any team is looking at this, they need to be afraid, because when a 3-man unit is working this well together, when a 3-man unit is this closely matched, they are fearsome. They need to be respected, and the grand final of Division 2 between PNE Orange and, as it stands, DGF, unless something really changes, it'll be a match for the ages. It will be very closely fought. But now look at this. DGF, oh my lord! Sing their praises, and they wilt under the pressure as all 3 members make absolutely criminal mistakes. And Fast XG inherits the round, and now wait a minute, where's Nino? Where's Nino? Can he still make some sort of cosmetic comeback in this round? I'm afraid not, as Mirako and Budala didn't make very big mistakes, so it will still be a red round, but DGF almost made an absolutely colossal throw. They do still secure the round to bring themselves to map point, but if FKX Gold didn't make these mistakes at the beginning, this would have been a thrown round. Not a mistake that DGF can allow themselves to make too often, and not a mistake you see very often from a team of this caliber. They're going to laugh it off. They're going to say, "Ah, Malaka, that was just unlucky." And they're going to move on, as they have map point and multiple chances to convert map point as well, and their pace has been superior. So now FKX Gold with everything to prove. They have secured at least 1 point on every map, but the problem is they haven't secured that much more. And it's not looking all that good for them, but this round's still competitive, still everything to play for. 5 players in a consistent level. Budala now the first one to slightly misjudge the corner, slight release, meaning that FKX Gold are actually very competitive, as Nino is now threatening Mirako, and Kush is in the lead, but Tsunami and Fast XZ are still holding on to their positions. Kush will have a land bug. Kush will have a land bug, ladies and gentlemen. Fast now having to release, but not significantly enough. And now it is FKX Gold who is in a position to ace DGF right back. Can this possibly happen? Will FKX Gold realize the situation they find themselves in? Nino, unfortunately, the banked corner claiming a victim, but if Aztec Z and Tsunami do well for themselves, might not matter in the end. Tsunami, however, releasing a little bit. Tsunami touching the outside wall, and Aztec Z overtaken by Budala. And it all comes to naught. One corner separating DGF from claiming map number 2. And they will. Miracle and Budala in the finish line, Kush in 4th place, and DGF take this map 7-1. To open up a massive advantage. And the overall score now 3-14 as DGF not joking around today. And we will see what happens as the first half of the match dominant in favor of DGF. FKX Gold would have to mount a colossal comeback on map number 3 and 4, and as we've seen, map number 3 and 4, not sure if they are really conducive to a comeback. I think map number 3 is still a map where risk versus reward needs to be very carefully calculated by the players. Still an opportunity for FKX Gold to take quite a few points if DGF start clowning around, but I think the consistency that DGF have shown this evening, if they approach the next map with a level head, if they continue showing consistency and if they don't drop the ball because they have a big advantage, it will be very hard for FKX Gold to come back, at least in my opinion. We're headed to map number 3 now, so Murcia by Vamos de Car, a mixed map where the Rammsteins are so tantalizingly close, but so threatening. I'm going to take a moment to rest and recover my voice before explaining how this map works to all of you. Please stay tuned because yes, DGF have opened a little bit of a lead, but hopefully FKX Gold have something to show as Devil is warming up, so the star player of FKX Gold might be able to propel them to a little bit of a comeback on this map. Stay tuned for the player interviews afterwards as well. And we're watching the players warm up while I take just a bit of a rest. And here we go. A little bit of hydration, 3 days of casting, very sore voice indeed. And now we can really take a finer look at this map by Vamos de Car. In my opinion, only in my opinion, probably the best map of this map pack to watch. Not necessarily sure if the players would agree that it is the best to play, but in terms of the excitement that this map brings to a match, simply unrivaled, as Vamos de Car has built a map which is very easy to learn. None of the corners on this map, I think, are particularly a mystery to any of the players in the SNC, regardless of what division they find themselves in. But I think that the really interesting thing about this map is to drive it very, very quickly. To drive it at the level required of Division 1 and Division 2. To be the carry for your team, you have to flirt with disaster constantly. You have to try out touching the inside Rammstein, touching the outside Rammstein, turning in perfectly. Flirting with disaster. You can even auto-drift at certain points in this map if you're not releasing enough. You absolutely have to drive at the peak of your pace, and this will be very challenging for the players. We saw yesterday, Peony Blue themselves made like 15 different mistakes on this map. So obviously these players will be under a ton of pressure as well. And the overall score, for those asking in the chat, is 14-3 in favor of DGF. So 14-3, very big lead for DGF, and FKX Gold have to win this map in order to stand a chance at winning the match, and they have to win it quite decisively because they've been beaten very severely by DGF on the first 2 maps, as DGF have shown elite level pace from all of their players, but also some really impressive consistency, which FKX Gold have simply not been able to match. Map number 3, though, we'll see how the players tackle this map. I'm very interested to see in particular what some of these best players can do. I want to see what Kush is capable of on this map. I want to see what Devil for FKX is capable of on this map. I want to see how much they choose to risk, because every single corner on this map is an opportunity to completely ruin your day. And every corner is a risk, and until you reach the finish line, nothing is safe and nothing should be taken for granted. We've seen the most incredible throws and we've seen the most incredible risky performances from players yesterday in Division 1. Players flirting with Daddy 1 times only to end up crashing out unceremoniously at the end of it all. And we will see how these two teams, the number 6 and number 7 team of the qualifying round, these Division 2 teams filled with talent, let's see how they take on Submersia by Vamos de Car. DGF enjoying a big advantage, and now FKX Gold have to strike back. They have to win this map if they want to stand a chance of winning the match, if they want to stand a chance of facing PNE Orange in the final of Division 2. Otherwise, they are looking at a match with slow noobs cruising. But we don't have slow noobs cruising in front of us. We have some incredibly fast, incredibly talented players driving the wheels off of these cars. And yesterday we saw some spectacular action on this map, and here we see, have the rosters changed? No, they haven't. Budala, Miraco, and Kush for the third consecutive map representing DGF, and Devil now returning, replacing Mino while Tsunami stays on. We will see if this FKX Gold roster is the secret that they need in order to beat DGF on this map. And I want to shout out the consistency, barely anything separating these 6 players. What a feast for the eyes. This round, incredible to watch. They're heading into lap number 2, and the players really balanced drive from everybody, judging risk and reward very well. On this map, which is so dangerous, they're able to navigate it well, but unfortunately it seems like DGF have got the superior pace. Kush now quite far ahead of everybody else, and FastXZ and Tsunami falling behind means DGF have opened a significant advantage. Now we are looking to see if there are any mistakes at the end of it all, but I think the players are doing quite well for themselves. FastXZ is the only one who's going to make a bit of a mistake. Rest of the players navigate the corner successfully, and despite Devil's best efforts, it will not be for anything as DGF secure yet another round on the board. Welcome to all those joining us. We have a match on our hands where DGF leads 15-3, but FKX Gold have had some very impressive pace on hand, and I think on most of the maps so far, actually, the FKX Gold players have been able to put up rounds which are on par with DGF pace. But what they haven't been able to put up is the consistency, and when it comes to driving fast repeatedly and with a minimum of risk, then DGF have simply been better this evening. But the match still technically not over. FKX Gold still technically not eliminated, and as long as they still have a hope in this match, they should keep fighting. And now the first opportunity presents itself as Miraco has made a significant mistake, misjudging the turn. Now FKX Gold are in a prime position to capitalize. They are fighting a 3 versus 2, but Kush is indomitable in front, only 1.5 tenths of a second behind Daddy 1 as he moves into lap number 2. Now we are looking at the players trying to navigate these turns. Unfortunately, this is still a red round because none of the FKX Gold players are able to put up elite level pace, but suddenly the tide is changing. The tide is changing, and Devil has done the unthinkable. Kush has had to release, and now Devil has taken both him and Budala. He is the carry, the star of this team, and he's putting up an incredible clutch. An incredible clutch that would secure his team the round, and I think he's going to reach the finish line. Now FastXZ clutching up as well, and FKX Gold will take the round. FKX Gold, clutch time, clutch performance, they secured a round. Very well done. 119.1, a good time. Unfortunately, just short of the Daddy times we saw yesterday. Not quite able to crack the 118 mark yet in Division 2, but I'm sure some of these players will put up an amazing round sooner rather than later, because the level of talent on display very high. It must be said, it cannot be understated. And we head into round number 3. And FKX Gold, they have to keep winning. It has to be said. DGF still enjoy an overwhelming advantage. They are 15-4 up. If FKX Gold want to have a chance to fight on map number 4, they have to win several consecutive rounds. They have to open up a win streak. And Devil driving like a man possessed. He is driving literal Daddy 1 pace in lap number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, are you seeing this performance from Devil? Finally falling behind Daddy 1 pace, but he is number 1 on the server right now, and that's all that matters. And now FastXZ making a bit of a resurgence into lap number 2, and Tsunami actually holding Miraco behind, meaning that this round is still advantageous for FKX Gold. And they need to win it, they need to convert it, they need to not give up in clutch time. Budala makes a mistake, but Miraco is now threatening to overtake Tsunami, so still everything to play for. FKX Gold cannot afford to make any mistake in the final corners, and let's see how the final corner is navigated. Fast will touch the wall, that is quite risky. Devil needs to not get sniped by Kush, and he defends himself by 100 of a second, but Tsunami in the end actually arrives third to snipe Miraco. Budala ending up last, and it is an FKX Gold round. Devil, what a defensive drive, keeping Kush behind. And ladies and gentlemen, this is an absolute masterclass we're seeing from Devil here. He returns to the server, and suddenly FKX Gold look like a completely different team with him on the server. He has 17 points, better than anybody on the server. And now Tsunami is keeping up with 8 points compared to Budala's 10 and Miraco's 7. FastXZ with 7 points. He could be doing a little bit more, but as long as Devil's in first place, it's enough to win them the round, and we'll see what happens. As a reminder to everybody, the overall score now 15-5, so FKX Gold, they have to keep winning. They have to win this map by a decisive margin in order to equalize, because they lost the first 2 maps quite badly. But so far, they've been able to do it, and, you know, if they can keep chaining these rounds together, if they can keep putting pressure on DGF, maybe DGF will crumble a little bit under the pressure, because so far DGF has not been significantly tested. We'll see if that changes right now. Now Budala and Kush have woken up. Now Budala and Kush have said enough playing around. Now we will show you the prime pace that DGF is capable of. But no! Caster Curse galore. Kush is in the wall and Devil inheriting first place, but Devil misjudges the inside Ramstein and he will be gone as well. Who does the round fall to in the absence of the star players of their teams? Who will actually take this round? Miraco touches the wall and Tsunami will snipe. And I think that might just be what we needed to make this a blue round. The mistake in the end actually allowing a third consecutive round for FKX Gold. Ladies and gentlemen, what an outcome. FKX Gold, they keep their hopes alive. They keep their hopes alive. It's still possible. 6-15. They still have a big route to recovery. But if they keep playing like this, you never know. DGF, maybe they start seeing they're losing these rounds. Maybe they tilt a little bit. Remember, DGF, they easily won map number 1. They easily won map number 2. Kush was driving like a man possessed, and Miraco and Budala were the perfect supporting cast, putting up star performances of their own and being super consistent in terms of points scored. But what if that isn't enough? What if Devil is actually the strongest player on the server? What if that ends up happening? What if Kush is not able to outperform the star player of FKX Gold, and suddenly now FastXZ and Tsunami are maybe activated? DGF, however, they're looking to shut me up very quickly. Their player's still very competitive, and FastXZ makes a mistake, and with all 3 DGF players still alive, it looks like the win streak is going to come to an end. But never say never. On this map, we've seen mistakes up until the last corner, so stay tuned. We never know what's happening. Kush now driving super aggressively to try to regain the lead. Devil trying to fight for first place, not maybe realizing that his team is nowhere to be found. He's going to fight for pride and honor. Budala taking an aggressive line. Devil, he did have to release a little bit to maintain his line, and Budala will defend himself to put up the first 118. The first 118 so far, and Kush into third place, which means DGF will win the round. And that is a 118 for Budala, who is actually now the biggest point scorer on Team DGF. And that was actually the case on the first map as well. So Budala, KWS, the legendary Malaka himself, he's actually putting up a star level performance for DGF in his consistency. Absolutely crazy. And that will be a very important thing for DGF as they look to face Peony Orange, because their advantage is becoming insurmountable. Remember, if DGF win this map, they win the match. The overall score currently 16 points for DGF versus 6 points for FKX Gold. So a 10-point advantage opening itself, and unless FKX start winning rounds again and quickly, this match will slip out of their hands. They have been more competitive on map number 3. They put up the biggest amount of rounds they have so far on map number 3, but they got blown out of the water on the first 2 maps. And unfortunately, I think that was FastXZ touching the wall in the background, while DGF are putting up another legendary free player consistency round. Now, this is a real team effort. All 3 players putting up significant pace. All 3 players very closely matched. We'll see what happens at the end of the lap. I don't think any of them... As I say that, Mirako doesn't even let me finish the sentence and complete the caster curse in peace. Budala and Devil finishing in the same millisecond, but not to be, because Budala will claim first place. Unfortunately, the first place wouldn't have changed much because it is a very solidly red round. And DGF take the equalizing point on this map. They have stopped FKX Gold from making any significant comeback. They have stopped them from gaining a mental edge. And while Devil still has the most points on this map with 30, he is unable to defend himself against Budala's 28 points and Kush's 23 points. Again, Budala is the real... In my opinion, Kush might be the star player of DGF, but Budala has been the real MVP of the match for DGF. Putting up so many points round after round, and even though he's had a few silly mistakes here and there, like right here, they have actually been winning these rounds, mostly because Budala is able to finish in high places very, very often, and he will be a critical piece of the puzzle as they look to face Peony Orange. As very quickly, I think we might be looking at map over and match over, because so far this round is looking solidly red. Only Devil and Kush fighting at the front. And let's actually take a look at the battle between the front runners. Let's see if Devil can stage an epic late round comeback. Unfortunately, Kush takes that corner just as well as he did. And now the final corner, plenty of opportunity to risk, but Devil is taking a very measured pace. I like to see this from Devil. I like to see this from Kush. They're driving high 1.18s, low 1.19s, realizing that this is the pace they need. And it is a DGF round. And yeah, another 118, this time courtesy of Kush. The second 118 overall, and the second one for Team DGF. Slightly lower pace than we've seen in Division 1. It has to be said, in Division 1 players were a little bit faster, so we see a bit of a difference in level maybe opening itself up on this map. I think this is the map where the difference in level between players is most apparent, simply because again, the skill floor on this map, very low, but the skill ceiling on this map, sky high. Masterclass of mapping by Vamos Tikar. As every single corner, you can take a risk, you can try to gain a 10th, and these players, you know, they have their head firmly on their shoulders, and they are not looking to risk too much. They just want to get the points for their team. They want to secure their appearance in the finals, and then they're going to worry about the pace when they're facing Peony Orange. When they're facing Space NASCAR Cowboys, respectively. I think at the beginning of the map, I called out the wrong team. And I also called out the wrong player for a strong performance, because actually Kush makes a significant mistake. Devil inherits the lead of the round, and if Devil can keep the lead of the round, he might actually still be able to turn this into a blue round. But Mirako and Budala attacking him fiercely, while FastXZ and Tsunami are not that close. Budala now putting up huge pace and actually managing to put Devil into second place, but unfortunately where Budala puts himself in the end is the wall. And Devil will win the round, and that is a blue round. With the mistakes, Budala will reach the finish line slightly ahead of Tsunami, but to no avail. Listen, Vamos Tikar, I'm terribly sorry, but when there are, I believe, 2 or 3 teams calling themselves SNC, you're not helping me here. You know? You're not making this easy. At least the FKX teams are all calling themselves something different, gold, platinum. Sorry about that. I'll try not to make that mistake in the future. And these players will also be trying not to make that many mistakes in the remaining rounds of this map. I think FKX Gold, with the amount of points that DGF have gained, it is already probably over for them. But they still have an opportunity to win the map. They're still keeping DGF honest, and the pace that Devil has shown and the consistency that Devil has shown is still the spark of hope that FKX Gold need. Maybe they can win a map against DGF. I think it would be a big point of pride for them. It would be a big show of strength ahead of the third place clash with Space NASCAR Cowboys. As we now we've clarified that little kerfuffle. We still have a round to play, and it can still be a blue round, but FastXZ needs to drive a miraculous defensive drive. Unfortunately, look at this. Kush, Mirako, Budala, again, only 1/10 of a second separating these three players. Look at the consistency between these three players of Team DGF. I need to shout this out. This trio is fearsome. None of them are far off from each other. All of them are elite, and although Devil will win the round, his team will not be following him in his winning ways, and it is a red round through the sheer consistency of Team DGF. Devil, unfortunately, not able to set a 118. He's had a 119.00, 119.01, 119.05, and 119.1. So although Devil has 7 rounds, that are 119.0 or 119.1. His consistency is actually crazy. His consistency is unreal. Devil is the peak performer of this evening so far. And with 47 points, he's leading this map in points as well with 47. Look at that. 10 points ahead of Budala in second place. And if you sing his praises a little bit too much, it seems like that has a very detrimental effect on the players because he's out of this round as we speak. But caster curses are unavoidable. All of the teams know what they signed up for when they signed up for a streamed tourney. They know that they need to deal with that sort of pressure and that they need to invest in their voodoo protection. And so far, not really working out for FKX because DGF might actually take map point here because look at the consistency again. Like nothing to separate these three players except the wall, which has just separated Kush from the rest of the round. And now if Mirako makes a stupid mistake at the end, or if Budala makes a mistake, this can still be a throw. Fast. Oh my god, that's a lot of risk, but he just didn't have the pace in hand. And Budala and Mirako will secure the round in favor of DGF. First and second place, more than enough to put the round up on the board despite Kush's mistake. And it will be map point DGF. And I think that's also match point because at this point DGF will have definitely won the match by winning 3 consecutive maps. Just a formality at this point. We will see if FKX Gold can find the mental strength to come back or whether DGF will put them away in their first opportunity to convert map points. So let's take a look at what happens now. Devil leading with 50 points, but unfortunately Tsunami and FastXZ joined last place with 25 points. DGF simply with better consistency in depth. And honestly, the consistency of this 3-man roster for DGF is something that Peony Orange will definitely have to be worried about. Peony Orange, definitely players with a lot of pace, but also players that can make some significant mistakes, and DGF looking to be well prepared for their final matchup. We'll of course see if they adapt as well to the finals map pack, but I think DGF have played this in a very tactically sound way. They're not playing around, they're not trying to risk it for hunting deadies. As Budala does seem to be risking a little bit more than he should, and he's going to meet the wall as he touches the outside Ramstein. His car soars into the sky, and now the round, anybody's to play for because actually FastXZ and Tsunami are doing a good job, and oh no. The caster curses are just coming one after another, but it is still a blue round, but Devil and Tsunami now need to defend. They need to take this last corner safely. They do need to not get sniped by Mirako, so one last corner to drive. And although Kush wins the round with the fastest pace we've seen so far, a 118.85, it is a blue round by 1 point because of Budala's significant mistake. So although Budala has been the most consistent player for DGF so far, he is actually the reason they will not be able to convert the map point at this time of asking. And yeah, second map point conversion opportunity now presenting itself to DGF, but FKX Gold, they can win rounds. They won 5 of them on this map, doing better than anywhere else, so only 2 separate them from potentially taking a map away, which would be a big point of pride for them. And a big show of strength heading into the small final. Miraco, the first one to drop away, but it's only 0.2 of a second and he's quickly regaining it as Tsunami is trying to release a little bit to keep himself safe, maybe unsettled a little bit by the pace at which this map comes. And Budala now alongside Kush in the lead of the round, meaning that DGF are looking to convert it. FastXZ and Devil are still within striking distance, and let's tune in on how that's working out for them. FastXZ and Devil now have to play a risky game. Risk it for the biscuit, or you will have lost it all. And both Kush and FastXZ risk a lot, but FastXZ takes a bigger punishment. Although Kush is sliding out, I'm not sure that the FKX players are in a position to punish, I should say. And although Devil wins the round and sets his first 118, it is the end of the map. It is the end of the match. Map number 3 goes to favor of DGF as well. And I think that is also the match win confirmed for DGF. They will advance to the grand final of Division 2 to face Peony Orange. And FKX Gold will be relegated to the small final versus Space NASCAR Cowboys. And we will just very quickly tally the scoreline, as that is 8-21. Wait, then the overall score. And we still have 1 map left to play. Pilgrimage by Ronig. Very good, very technical map. But before we move on to the next map, we need to shout out the absolute MVP of this map. 61 points. FKX Devil. 2 maps he's played. He has finished first in points on both maps. The absolute MVP of the evening for me. The absolute MVP of his team. Proving that he has such a high level of performance in Division 2 to be getting more points than proven players like Budala, than very talented, incredibly fast star players like Kush. That is a feat of strength. That is something Devil should be insanely proud of. And you know, the FKX Platinum members in the chat, they should seriously be considering reinforcing their strongest roster with him for next year, because man, he has proven himself this tournament. He's been doing well in the qualifying events. He's been doing well in the rounds. He is one of the many members of FKX that are really blossoming under the pressure. And very pleased to see him shine when the lights are brightest. 1 more map left, and this is a very technical banked map by Ronig. So on this map, not a lot of opportunity to take different lines. There is one optimal way that each corner should be driven, and we are really just testing the players on how close they can come to this perfection. Lots of stop drifts required, where you break the slide and no slide the rest of the corner. Lots of corners where you have to very selectively choose when to turn in. Lots of corners where risking it for the outside Ramstein is going to be a necessity. But again, nothing that should eliminate you from the round. Just how well you can select your lines. And we will see if the players will be making some substitutions now that the match has been decided. We have not seen Corbo play this evening. We have not seen Kosip play this evening for DGF. And maybe these players will be making an appearance on this map for their teams to warm up a little bit. To warm up a little bit in these live rounds while they're still lasting. To prepare themselves for the matches they will be facing next week in the grand final and the small final of Division 2 respectively. One more warm-up left for the players to get a feeling for the lines. One more warm-up left for the players to say their prayers. This team definitely very punishing from start to finish. I think making any mistakes definitely going to lose you a couple of tenths of a second. I think from the very beginning of the lap into this 270, there is simply not any place where you can gain speed, but there are plenty of places where you can lose speed. And again, This is one of those maps where there is not much for debate on how the map should be driven. It is simply a test of the player skills, and we are very much looking forward to see what these players can show. Devil, Kush, and everybody else on the server will be looking to make one final mark. One final mark on this match before going their separate ways to prepare for the finals week and the finals map pack. Second warm-up now taking place. Budala demonstrating some very smooth lines indeed. A player who has been doing very well for DGF this evening, a source of consistent points. When Mirako might have faltered a little bit and when Kush might have let a few rounds get to him, Budala has been putting up quite a lot of points on the board, but he was also responsible for some uncharacteristic mistakes. So while DGF have shown some good consistency so far, they will need to step it up by one more level for PNE Orange. The warm-ups are over. Your caster really needs to rest his voice a little bit. One last time before we cast this final map, before we go into the player interviews afterwards. 3 days of casting, and ladies and gentlemen, the action has been spectacular. These semifinals have given us so many memorable moments. The players have been driving all out, and we have the distinct pleasure of watching one more map of semifinals action before we head our separate ways to prepare for finals week. Pilgrimage by Ronig starts now, and the players are looking to make the pilgrimage to the chosen land of perfect NASCAR lines. Corbo substituting in for Nino, Tsunami, and Devil Stay, and Kosip will not be making an appearance. Budala, Mirako, Kush, the roster for all 4 maps this evening. Devil, unfortunately, his consistency petering out a little bit as he is the first person to make a significant mistake. Dropping half a second behind everybody else as the rest of the players make their way into lap number 2, but FKX Gold, the pace simply not there, the consistency simply not there, and look at the consistency of DGF. I've been shouting this out all evening, I'm gonna shout it out again. These players, these 3 players, all of them so incredibly talented, but look at how well matched they are. All of them within a couple of tenths of a second of one another, and when they are dialed in, when they as a team realize that they find themselves in a high pressure situation, their consistency is simply unrivaled. And they reach the finish line in a 117.5, 117.7, 117.9. Those are 2 deady and almost deady times respectively from Kush and Budala. They ace FKX Gold in round number 1 of map number 4. And that's a very impressive pace as well from Kush, immediately putting a deady on the board, reminding us what he was doing on the first map as well. But Kush, I think, with his pace, could have been securing slightly more points. Not that it matters now, they won this match with ease, but against PNE Orange, if Mew, if Truo, if Ekstrom are at their best, then he will definitely need to not be giving up any rounds and driving at his peak potential all of the time. It will certainly be necessary. But that's a consideration for next week, and we still have something to play this week. We see Corbo now showing up, making his first appearance, and unfortunately not a very bright one. The first 2 rounds have been marred with mistakes for the player. Coming into the match not warmed up, you can definitely understand on a map as challenging as this that he would struggle. But it puts his team in a very difficult position, as while Devil is defending first place, he is defending against an absolute hunter squad of DGF players. Mirako will lose his trail, but Kush and Budala are pursuing him like he owes them money. Look at the pressure they are putting on him. If I'm Devil, if I've got my checkpoint times and I see these 2 players 1/10 of a second behind me, I'm thinking to myself, I am sweating bullets right now. So much pressure being put on him. Kush risking everything to get a couple hundreds of a second. Final corner, and Kush, he was looking to navigate it well, but it won't happen. Kush and Budala in an equal time, and unfortunately for FKX Gold, it will not be good enough. While Devil puts up a super impressive 117.5, the rest of his team not able to keep up with him. And it is the second round for DGF. Second round for DGF. Only a couple left to go in this match. This match that was quite closer maybe than the scoreline suggests, but ultimately not close enough. And we'll see for ourselves how things are going. If any of you are currently watching Ramavik stream, please update me on how that match is going. Do they still have any maps left to play? If so, we will be tuning into Rayma's stream as soon as the match here concludes. And in the meantime, let's take a look at how this round is progressing for the players. Corbo again in last place, but he's not too far behind Mirako, so he can still play spoiler in this round if he plays a bit well. Corbo trying to navigate these corners, risking a little bit. As you can see, this map is a test of perfection, and these corners definitely suboptimal from Corbo. Releasing here and there, releasing everywhere, and these time advantages add up. And look at this again. Kush, Budala, and Devil locked in a freeway battle from first place. This is an absolutely crazy thing to watch. These three players driving at such a high level, a Division 1 worthy level from all three of them. And again, DGF with this crazy consistency, and although Devil is beating both of them again in a very similar reprise of the previous round, DGF will take a third consecutive round. But look at Devil, 117.4 now. That's the fastest time we've seen so far. He is driving like a man possessed. The devil inside him fully awake for tonight's match. He has done something incredible for FKX Gold. To say that he is the star of the team would be an understatement to how much he is doing for this roster. As he will be the absolute person to look out for in the third place match of Division 2. As we just see a huge mistake. Who was that huge mistake from? That was a huge mistake from the Tsunami, and unfortunately this puts Devil and Corbo in such a precarious position, having to defend yourself against such a consistent unit of DGF players. And look at what DGF has been doing, right? Devil is the only person curtailing them, but they've been putting up 117.5s, 117.6s in a super consistent way. And that needs to be shouted out, because DGF driving deadly level pace in live rounds consistently is the mark of a fearsome team. PNE Orange have something to be worried about, and I think the Division 2 Grand Final is going to be a banger. But we have a bigger banger in front of us, and that is this round is Devil and Corbo. Look at the attack Devil and Corbo are mounting, as Kush is forced to cede to the absolute overwhelming presence they are putting together. They have decided to put the foot down on the throttle and not let go until the end of this map, and this can still be a blue round because of the impressive pace they've been putting forward. Mirako will try to attack in the last corner to decide the round. Devil snipes Kush, Corbo snipes Mirako, and it is a blue round. Holy hell, Corbo with a clutch, 117.8, putting himself ahead of Mirako, and it will be a round on the board for FKX Gold on all four maps. At least one round on all four maps. Very, very important for their confidence. And Devil, man, Devil has been unbeatable so far. 117.6 again, first place again. After that first round mistake, he has come back, and now Kush with 21, Devil with 20. If I told you at the beginning of this evening that Devil and Kush would be matched closely, you would have thought that I was talking about the Devil on Storm Chasers, not the one on FKX Gold. But this player has done something absolutely crazy to his level to step up this hard. Unfortunately, Budala and Mirako's consistency simply just a little bit too strong for FKX Gold to get consistent points from Devil's efforts. And now Kush releasing, and again, look at this, Devil in first place. Devil defending alone against three people. It's like watching a kung fu movie. Bruce Lee defending against three people all at once with masterful technique. Devil's absolutely crazy right now, going on an incredible pace. And now Budala and Mirako are on the attack, and Budala does manage to temporarily seize first position from him the round, falling in favor of DGF as Corbo has made a significant mistake behind and Tsunami is too far away. Now Mirako also attacking Devil as Budala pushes forward, and Devil's pace unfortunately falling slightly further behind. This is the problem with this map. When you lose your flow, this cascades into several tenths of a second, and although Devil will attack Mirako in the final corner, I think Budala has done more than enough. Mirako will be releasing, but Budala will take the round win in a super impressive 1.17.4. That's the fastest time we've seen so far. DGF with a fourth round based on Budala's crazy pace. Budala himself have been shouting it out several times this evening, and it has been so well deserved. Richly deserved performance from the legend himself, formerly with PNE Orange, this year on DGF, and he is such an important piece of the DGF puzzle. as Kush has 24 points, but Budala has 21. He is the perfect second carry for this team. And PNE Orange will have a lot to be afraid of, as I am afraid of listening to this horn, and I need to mute these horns because they're starting to get irritating. As Kush will be feeling a little bit irritated, as he's actually made a bit of a mistake. So has Tsunami, so now Kush will be catching up a little bit to him. But this round, still everything to play for, as Corbo holds on to 4th place, but this is Devil in front, who is really fighting a difficult battle against Mirako and Budala. Look at this. Devil is fighting for his life. Devil is driving at such a high pace, such a high level of consistency, such a mature performance from the player, but he is being constantly hounded by 2 of DGF's players. They are so persistent. They are so consistent. But Devil is on the attack right now. Devil will not be taken lightly. He will put his pursuers behind him. They are still very close though, and they can still play spoiler. Devil's first place finish currently would be the thing that secures his team the round. So now he has to fight an incredible defensive battle, but Mirako has driven this last corner better. A lot of that speed are not going to count for the last turn, and Mirako snipes first place away with such an incredible choice of line in the final banked corner, driving it just a little bit better than Devil, just a little bit tighter, realizing that the exit speed doesn't matter from that corner, and that's going to be exactly what turns this round in favor of DGF. Super high level understanding of NASCAR from Mirako there. And the fastest time we've seen thus far, 1:17.4. That's crazy. Crazy from Mirako, who is finally firing up his signature level. He might have been gone for a couple of rounds in some other maps, but make no mistake, Mirako is a fearsome player. A fearsome player who has done something truly incredible this evening. Now look at the DGF consistency, 25, 25, 22. Although Devil is first in points for a 3rd consecutive map, putting up the MVP of the match performance, player of the night, Tsunami and Corbo simply not able to keep up the consistent level required. However, they could still put a point on the board. Never say never till it's over. Never say it's over till I'm breathing, as the song goes. Corbo now in last place, and the 5 players in front putting up a very consistent level. Devil and Tsunami now with a crazy pace. The crazy pace which might be able to secure them the round, as Budala makes a little bit of a mistake, and Kush makes a very significant mistake, meaning that this round has just opened up in favor of FKX Gold, an opportunity to score a 2nd point, an opportunity to gain at least 2 points on every map, which would be a very, very good accomplishment for the team as a whole. Devil and Tsunami looking to put that into the finish line. Corbo, unfortunately, not really close, but Devil and Tsunami have it in their hands. They have everything they need to finish this one safely and securely. Devil will continue his absolute reign of terror on this map, finishing at a 1:17.5. Tsunami to take 2nd place with a 1:18.1, and it is a blue round. This map will still continue. At least 2 points on every map now for FKX Gold. Very well done for them indeed. But you know, 29, 27, 25 for Budala, Kush, and Mirako. Just such a level of consistency, but they are lacking a little bit of that star potential. If a player like Mew, if a player like Truo really pops off, you have to wonder what's going to happen in that grand final. I'm very much looking forward to PNE Orange versus DGF now, because DGF's consistency is crazy. But maybe, just maybe, a little bit of raw pace on certain maps still not in hand. Yet to be seen. DGF still have every opportunity to win Division 2. Not to be underestimated by any means. But that is a consideration for next week. What we need to be considering now is this round. And actually, it is FKX Gold who have an advantage in this round. It is FKX Gold who have the opportunity to score, and although Corbo will be releasing a little bit as he doesn't judge that first corner particularly well, Devil is in the outright lead, and he's only 0.2 of a second behind Daddy 1. This is a crazy pace from Devil. Crazy pace indeed. But now the battle is actually raging in the background as Corbo and Tsunami actually need to defend their position against Budala. And Devil has made a mistake, unfortunately, the lap undone, and it's going to be map point DGF as Corbo and Devil make mistakes in the end. Mirako and Kush will not. 117.6, 117.7. The amount of 117s the DGF has put together is absolutely unreal. The consistency, simply superb and simply superior. Map point DGF, they already won the match, but they're looking to seal it with the highest possible scoreline of 28 points. Looking to win all 4 maps, looking to make a show of force heading into the grand final of Division 2 against Peony Orange. Budala, Kush, and Mirako 32, 32, 31. The consistency absolutely crazy. Corbo subbing in on the 4th map, having a bit of a difficult time. And yeah, we'll see what happens. And listen, guys, I don't know what you're saying about the letter D making you fast because I'm deaf and I am not particularly quick anymore. So you need to reevaluate that rule a little bit. Need to change your mind a little bit. But, you know, it is Devil here. The player that starts with a D. Doing something really good. But I just want to shout out how crazy this round is. This is 5 players in 0.2 of a second. 0.3 of a second now. And unfortunately, Tsunami's mistake means that DGF have every advantage. And now Corbo will be sliding out as well. But the level that we've seen tonight has been spectacular. Devil with a mistake, Mirako with a mistake. Who actually wins the round? I think it doesn't matter because Kush is going to reach the finish line safely along with Budala. The 2 players reach the finish line. Ooh. Kush! No! No! Kush! Hold up! Hold up! Hold up! No, Devil! Devil also reversing it to the finish line actually means that they don't win the round and the match is over. Oh, what the? No! What? Not like this? What did anybody do in this last round? Are you serious right now? Kush crashing at the finish line, and then Devil decides, oh, I'm gonna reverse. Kush crashed at the finish line, it doesn't matter, we're gonna lose. And then Devil loses his team the round because Kush finishes ahead of him. What the actual hell was... What was this last round, man? This is absolutely unreal. Let's tally up the scores real quick before moving on. 1 second, let's take a look at how many points that was in the end. There we go. Yes, that was round deciding. Devil choosing to reverse and not finishing ahead of Kush was round deciding. I am in disbelief. I thought the match was just gonna end in a very peaceful way, and then in the last round, these teams just decided to absolutely turn it up to 100. I was not ready. I was already half asleep, getting ready for the player interviews, looking forward to resting my voice. And then this. Absolutely crazy from the players.